Pushkin.
Man. Earth, Wind, and Fire.
That's it, live and in living color.
That's
How
us.
are you?
I'm amazing. I'm amazing. I got done watching you guys' documentary yesterday.
Oh, wow.
I got to flip through your book, Ralph. It was only sent to me yesterday, so I haven't gotten to go through the full thing yet.
Mm-hmm.
I read your book a long time ago, so we're covered there. So I'm steeped. I've been listening to the music for a week. My spirit's high.
Good deal.
All right.
My spirit's
deal.
high.
Very good. Very good.
How you guys feeling?
Feeling good. Feeling good.
Fantastic. Enjoying this time, at home, and then all the activities surrounding the documentary and the book. And so there's a lot going on right through here, and we're trying to keep it moving.
Yeah, it's amazing. Earth, Wind, and Fire, it feels like you guys are ever present always, but it feels extra special right now with you guys since the doc is coming out, and I know it's premiering in a couple of weeks.
It does. I mean, and like I've been saying to the guys, because we're used to a lot of things, a lot of stuff happening, but I said, this is special.
Right.
You gotta slow down and take a breath, because this is special. Not very many people get a chance to witness their body of work done in a documentary. Questlove, he knocks it out the park.
Yeah.
He's a music historian.
Yeah.
And so we're just gonna take a breath and really enjoy this.
You guys have had a lot of big moments throughout your career, but at this point you can feel when it is a particularly big moment still.
Exactly.
Right. Sure. Absolutely.
I mean, we're here because of that, right?
Right. Thank you. Right.
Exactly.
What are we talking about?
Okay.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have you guys every week if you want. Doc, no doc, open door for y'all. The amazing thing about Earth, Wind, and Fire is you guys are ever present, but because the music was always it wasn't even futuristic. It was just timeless in the real sense of the word. Like it could have existed in the 1600s or in 3030 or now. So it's never felt like, it's always felt, and I know they've tried to label at various times, and I heard it in the documentary, progressive soul or different things, but you guys have always just sounded like yourselves. And you guys have always had this uncanny ability, unlike anyone else, to blend a bunch of styles in a way that just feels coherent and just feels soulful and beautiful. I don't know how you guys did that. Like, the documentary gave me a hint when it talked about Maurice journaling, and his goals were to be, and just to paraphrase, his first goal was to be a band that can connect to everyone. Number two was to be big. 3 was to change the world. And I was like, that explains maybe why you guys sounded the way you sound. But did that sound crazy to you when you heard it from Maurice back then?
Maurice's vision was to, one, render a service to humanity. Mm-hmm. So there was a reason for doing the music that was bigger than himself or ourselves. Mm-hmm. And then, next, it was to bring different genres of music together and make them commercial. So, there's something in there for everyone.
Yeah.
Not on one particular song, but in the body of work.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing was to bring Broadway to the stage.
Yeah.
To the concert stage. The other one was to elevate the consciousness of, our listeners.
Yeah.
And to have a high degree of integrity as a musician.
Yeah.
Because he was like, he didn't want to further stereotype great musicianship, but we're all strung out,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So all those things were, and it was really, really inspired. All those very clear, distinctive directions were something that he went about writing out and living out, and we were young enough to buy into it. Mm-hmm. And then we were fortunate enough to work with a cast of so many talented people from the record company to the writers to
The arrangers,
arrangers to the musician,
the engineers.
You know, so it was a lot of things had to connect at the same time, and they did.
Yeah.
And we were in the right place at the right time, in front of the right people with the right music. You know, and the thing about it is, the three of us who are sitting here, as Phillip said, we were young enough to buy into it and to be part of it and to grow within it and be able to express ourselves as well.
And Phillip said something about, and I think they talk about it in the documentaries, you didn't want to be strung out. So no drugs. I mean, being healthy and no drugs was a part of the...
It was more of a thing, not to cut you off, but it wasn't something that was like, you know, everybody was squeaky clean or whatever. But Maurice led by example. Mm. And we were young enough for him to be an example to us, you know. And it was work, you know, we were looking at him and, you know, he didn't have to say do this or do that. It was like the proof was in the pudding. Mm. You know, like his actions were speaking louder than any words.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, well, give me some of that vegetable soup. you know, it's like let me check that out. You know, at Johnny Weissmuller on Hollywood Boulevard. You know, and I was like, whoa, I felt a little lightheaded. You know,
your first protein drink.
My first healthy shake,
right,
and stuff, healthy food.
But it paid off.
Hey, it was wonderful.
Yeah. Yes,
it was wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, it could have been the opposite. You know, like follow me this way. It led to nothing, but it was productive.
Yeah, it was very positive indeed. You know, and we just kind of continued on along those lines.
It made it easy to maybe to buy into Maurice because he had that success early with chess. Mm-hmm. Being a drummer, right? Which was no small thing. I'm sure you know Verdine, having been there, like just to, he's your brother one day, and then the next day he's drumming on these hit records and he's making a name for himself and moving to LA and starting to...
Oh, yeah. You know, I was in college. I had it all planned. I was going to be a doctor. I was going to do this. I was going to do that. Then he called me one day after he had moved to California, after leaving the Ramsey Lewis Trio, and said, "You want to come to California, man?" And I sounded like a little girl. I said, "Sure." And I got the first thing smoking about a month later. I came out here, and California was so different. It was just so different. I had never seen so many people, and I saw everybody, all the hippies, and the music, and
Sunset Boulevard.
Oh yeah, all that stuff. And so it was a great learning experience as well, you know. And as I said before in some of our other interviews, the three of us became adults together. We grew up together.
Yeah. Yeah. What year did you come to LA, Verdine?
June 6th, 1970.
1970. And what did it look like to you? Coming from Chicago, what did LA look like?
Totally different. Everybody was friendly. Everybody was saying hello because, you know, we come out of Chicago, everybody, you know, holding their chest, you know, nobody, they didn't open up to you. But California was like, it was just a totally different thing, you know. I'd wave to everybody. "Hi, how are you? How you doing? Hey, how are you?" Because they were waving right back. You know what I mean? And so it was. It's
a different consciousness.
Yeah, it was a great feeling, and also too, I was around an adult Maurice, who led me the right way, particularly in California, because I had never been anywhere. I had never been on a plane. I never left home. I never did anything.
And when you got here, you were already. And you joined the band. Were they already with Warner Records?
Yeah, that band. Yeah, with Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah, yeah. So you come out. You haven't been anywhere. You come to California, and you're playing bass for a band that signed to a major label. You're playing with your brother. I mean, it had to be a dream come true.
We did the 2 records on Warner Brothers.
Yeah, and
I didn't even look at it. I was so young. I didn't even look at it as a major label. I just look at, we're going to make a record, you know, and then, you know, we just kept doing it, and you know, of course, that evolved, and out here in California, you know, that's where I met Phillip.
Yeah,
and Ralph.
Do you guys want to talk about how you guys joined the band?
I was playing at a club down on Crenshaw Boulevard. The building is still there. It was called Mavericks Flat. I was playing at a club, and Oh, you
That's
know,
a fa-
you sound
that's
like
a
you know about
famous-
Maverick's
that's a
Flat.
famous,
it was a
famous club.
famous spot. And I was playing there, and Dean and Maurice came into town. They saw me playing with this group called the Master's Children. And the next thing I knew, the guitar player at that time with the group, his name was Michael Beal, called me up and asked me if I wanted to audition. I said, yeah, sure. So I did the audition, and after the audition, Verdine called Maurice, and Maurice said, well, what do you think? And Verdine said, yeah, he's the cat. And we just kind of went on from there and kept going.
Did you know Maurice was a drummer when?
Oh,
when
yeah,
you tried
I'd seen
out?
Maurice play
Okay,
with Ramsey Lewis.
you did.
Yeah.
Live
Not live, no, I saw it on TV.
on TV.
But think about this, though. A jazz drummer wakes up one day and says, I'm going to start a pop R&B thing. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm starting it. And this is what it is today.
Yeah.
Who does that?
He was
Well,
very
he had
specific about what he wanted to do, you know, because and this was what was interesting on the documentary, that when Bob Cavallo and several other people talked to Maurice about, you know, the vision that he had was going to be better realized by having some younger guys.
Yeah.
Everybody being Verdine's age,
Yeah.
you know, then, you know, that's when they began to look around, and they had met me in Denver.
Where you grew up, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And the first band, our band that opened the show for them, their promotion show, and through, you know, Perry Jones, who was a mentor of ours. But yeah, you know, we were able to meet. Maurice had on bell-bottom pants, and he smelled like coconut oil. You know, I remember that so distinctly because I'm a Hicktown, Denver boy, and we don't know nothing about no scented oils or nothing like that. So it's like
patchouli,
all I knew I smelled coconnuts. You know,
But you must have had hippies out in
you're right.
Colorado,
Yeah.
right? Did you?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
That was hippie nation.
Were you into rock music at all?
Heck
when
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, very, very much so. You know, being from Colorado, it was, you know, a plethora of music, from indigenous music to, you know, country to pop to rock to very little R&B music on the radio. We only had it from certain hours of the day, you know, and then later on it became 24 hours on one of the stations. But yeah, my education really in cultural music grew being in the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you guys listen to music together
Heck yeah.
and pick out what you
lot.
liked about things? Yeah.
It was like a college. It was like being in a university, because you had Maurice's comrades, Don Myrick and Satterfield, and so they were older than us and had a lot more experience overall musically. So they would, you know, take us under their wing and mentor us, you know, into the music, and you know, so it was, and we were always together. Mm-hmm. So it was like being in a traveling school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just want to play two things, maybe just to illustrate the way the band evolved from those first couple of Warner records, where you guys aren't involved yet, and then kind of where the sound goes pretty quickly. Remember this one, Verdine?
You got to make your evil way.
Yeah, that sit back.
Was that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Handwritings on the wall.
Was that on Sweetback?
That's Sweetback.
This came out on, after you guys left Warner, they put out a greatest hits album.
Okay.
Look like that. It's never been put
I've
out
seen that
digitally.
cover.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just more, like early on, you guys have more of a almost just kind of, you guys are more funk and kind of in the it's less jazzy, you know? It's
Right.
a little less jazzy,
Right.
blues rooted
Right.
music. Not that it gets away from the blues, but this is great. But you go from like this kind of a thing, and Sweetback
Sweetback,
soundtrack,
that's
which
right,
you
the
guys
soundtrack,
did
right.
with Melvin Van Peebles, to something like this, which is just 1-2 years later. I want to wait for the vocal to come in real quick.
Master told me one day I'd find peace in every way, but in search for the clue, wrong things I was bound to do. Keep my head.
It's like you can hear the old band, and then you can hear how it filled out even more with you guys.
Well, the Genesis was there. The Genesis
Yeah.
was there. All the in the beginning, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it was growing, but the Genesis of Earth, Wind, and Fire was there.
Yeah.
But this right here is the Nine. This is the group that would go on to conquer the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, conceptually, you can hear that Maurice had a vision for the music from the first Earth, Wind, and Fire. Because when you listen to Sherry Scott, you know, I think about Loving You and all that kind of stuff. Well, you know, I'm the second generation.
Yeah.
You know, so like you listen to Head to the Sky, you know, you can hear that it's not so out of the blue because it, you know, it was there with those records that they were doing, you know, but this is just a different, you know,
It's like an extension.
extension.
It
Right.
really
Yeah.
almost feels like it's like almost
Yeah.
just like in music. It's like a chord, regular chord, and then you just
Right.
add the 9th, 11th.
There you go.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
13.
Good analogy. Yeah.
Who were the 9? You said those were the
Yeah,
9.
you know.
Do you want to say that?
Well, you had Maurice, Dean, Phil. You had Johnny, Al.
Both on guitar.
Right. You had Larry on keyboards.
Yeah, Larry
You
Down.
had myself and Freddie, and then Andrew,
Yeah.
the Nine.
Yeah. And then even beyond that, then someone like on that, Jessica
Of course,
Cleaves
now,
at the end
also
too.
Jessica Cleaves was on there too.
Yeah.
But Jessica would leave, and we would be left with the 9 guys.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's just unbelievable. How did you guys? So you just like you said, this is a band. Maurice is a drummer. You're a drummer.
Mm-hmm.
Verdine
Phil's a
and
drummer.
Philip's a drummer. Verdine and Maurice's brother Fred is a drummer.
Yep. And
Yeah.
Al McKay was a drummer.
Right.
Al McKay was a drummer. You're a singer. Maurice is a singer. You're a singer. Like, Jessica Cleaves is a singer. It's like how did you guys balance the embarrassment of riches you guys had in the group? How did you orchestrate? How did you know if someone came in the studio with a song, how did you know who was going to do what?
Well, it kind of evolved, you know, and Maurice being the spearhead, he didn't always know exactly what he wanted, but he knew what he didn't want, you know. And so, you know, if there were ideas that fit into, you know, the consciousness of where he was going for the band, he would develop those ideas.
Would you guys just try to, if he knew what he didn't necessarily always know exactly what he wanted, but knew what he didn't want, would that mean that you guys would just try to contribute things?
Funny thing though, you could always tell when he didn't like something.
That's what I'm wondering.
He go,
You ready? He's ready.
Right.
You ready to do this, right?
yeah, pretty nice little old piece you got there. You know, he would say very little about it, or he would call it, or he would say pretty nice little.
Yeah, a little.
Right.
That's what he say,
So
that's,
nice little thing
bless
you
your
got
heart.
there.
That's
You
what
know.
it's like. I was like, that was a bless your heart.
Almost
That's a bless your heart.
It was like,
bless
but
your heart
not
moment,
yet.
right,
You're not
right.
yet. Yeah, right.
But if there was something that that you brought that clicked with him, he would jump right on it. Like my first collaboration was Evil, and it was surreal to me because I had this idea and I showed it to him, and then the next thing I knew, he said, "You know that little piece you was showing me? This is what I did with it." Like, what?
How did you bring Evil to him? What did you?
I had the seed plot, the Evil thing, and I had lyrics, and I had a melody and stuff. But he flipped all that. He really heard, what I was trying to do,
Yeah.
and it was inspiring to him enough to take the situation and flip it.
Wow.
Here's a question. So at the time that you started writing with him, did you really, really understand the value of the writing and the publishing side of it?
Oh, heck no.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't understand that till yesterday.
Oh man. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
I'm still waiting
There
for
may
you
be
to,
some money out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody
I'm
owes
still
you.
waiting for you to explain all that.
Oh
to
my
me.
God. Okay. Yes.
But you were co-writer on that, right? You did.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You did get credit on
Yeah,
that, right?
I did. Yeah, that's why I said that was my first,
Yeah.
real co-written
Yeah.
venture.
Yeah. And Verdine, how did you're such a unique bass player. I mean, you have the low end thing going. You kind of have that cool James Jamerson melodic harmonic
James
complexity
Jamerson.
thing going. Like, I mean, but you're almost like the best of all bassists. Like you have a little bit of everything of all those different styles in you. You know what I mean?
Well, for me, first of all, I love the bass. I love the sound of it. When I first saw the bass, it spoke to me. It spoke to me. You know how you say, I want to play this? The bass came at me.
Wow.
And it was upright bass. Bass is bigger than I was at the time, And then I was able to like really coming out of Chicago, you were talking earlier out of different genres of music. Coming out of Chicago, R&B, jazz, pop.
Yeah.
There was a lot of different genres for me to pull from.
Yeah.
So when I would hear something, I automatically heard the bass within it. And then when I came to California, it really crystallized because I was able to really concentrate on music, on the bass, and then later on putting the bass where the bass fit.
Yeah.
Because at first when I started playing, cut the bass up. Well, you have to put the bass within the track of what it sounds like.
In other words, you don't want it just to stand out.
Right. You wanted to stand out in a certain way, but you wanted to be part of the song.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned when I came here. And you played earlier 2 songs.
Yeah.
But for me, the first 2 Earth, Wind & Fire records, I was sort of like winging it a little bit. I was winging it. But the record that crystallized for me was the Need of Love album.
Really?
For me, a tune, Energy.
I'm gonna play that.
That's really when it came together for me because the record's much more looser. I was really hearing, growing into it, whereas I was just trying to hang on the first record.
Yeah.
I did a record. Oh. Whereas now I'm doing a record, so how do I implant myself within the record?
Yeah.
And the tune that did it for me was a tune called Energy.
Was that I Can Feel It in My Bones? Was it?
Yes,
Just around the corner.
You don't have to be alone. Right. And then it goes left. It goes left into some Miles Davis stuff. And I was right there with it too, man. And those were things that couldn't be explained.
Yeah.
When you get to this section, you gotta do this here. It was like
You just knew you had to hear it.
it just switched.
It just went.
Because it started off as a drum solo with Maurice doing it.
Yeah.
Then got into the tune, then all of a sudden it just turned and it just kept going.
Yeah.
But it's that story is a testament to the fact that Verdine was not only really, really gifted as a musician, basis, but he was destined. It was destiny, because when he tells that story and you think about, what most musicians know at a certain point in their careers, in their recording careers, he was so young to it,
Yeah.
and laying it down in a fashion in which he did was just very extraordinary.
And I think just to illustrate that too, and what Maurice brought to a song, and what you guys also collectively as a group brought to a song, I want to play a little bit of the creative source version of "You Can't Hide Love," and then play a little bit of your version. You can just hear the difference between how you guys get a hold of a song, and
Skip in creative source.
No, he wasn't in it.
Okay.
You want my love and you can't deny. You know that it's true, but you try to hide. You turn down love like it's really bad. You say you can give what you never had.
And it's cool, but it's not a classic until
Right.
That's right.
And Step got a hold. Well,
Charles Stepney. You
yeah,
said,
man.
Yeah.
And then Reese on the toms, I think, coming through. Right.
You want my love and you can't deny.
oof.
You know it's true, but you try to hide.
It's like you can hear the song actually
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And there's still this crazy arrangement around it, but it doesn't
Right.
distract from the song.
That other version, as we call it, it was a hipper version.
Yeah.
It was hip. Whereas the other version of Can't Have Love kind of remind me of a Fifth Dimension.
It was very much a fifth
Right,
dimension
Right?
kind
A Fifth
of.
Dimension concept.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's the way it
But
sounded.
it was interesting because because Skip and Jerry and them they were working with the Fifth Dimensions, writing songs and stuff, working with
Friends of Distinction.
and Friends of Distinction and all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of see where that was going.
More vocal groups,
Yeah.
really.
But that doggone Charles Stepney
Yeah, man.
was just if there wasn't a Charles Stepney, there would not be an Earth, Wind and Fire.
That's right.
Because he was that important to what we were to become.
Right.
So Maurice was the visionary, but Charles was able to. He was the consummate writer, producer, musician, arranger, that he was able to really hear where Maurice thought he wanted to go.
Yeah.
And say, okay, this is the way you arrive at that destination.
Yeah.
This is the way you do it, and I can show you.
For people who don't know, do you guys want to say who Charles Stepney is? I don't think it's a name everyone readily knows, but
Yeah, and it's a shame because Charles Stepney was the co-producer, and I'll take the co off. He was the producer with Maurice on the records.
The arranger.
And the arranger, and he was able to guide me as a vocalist on how to sing Reasons and how to record, how to think, and when not to think, But he was like a big brother, and a counselor. He could be everything, to us at just the right time.
He was like our Quincy Jones.
yeah.
Our George Martin, that the Beatles had.
Yeah.
Because we had these ideas, but he was able to walk us through it, and as Phillip said, how to get there.
Yeah.
But he did it in a way he would teach you. Like he would, on bass, he said, okay, give me a double stop. And I didn't know what a double stop was. So we said, okay, we're going to put it together. We're going to C, G, and then you just go down. then we go down scale, go down, and he would teach you while you were doing it.
He would. He would really teach you, and he would, and it wouldn't go above your head, because these progressions and stuff. We might have not been, a lot of the musicians may not have been as sophisticated as the ones that are playing in our band today.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Charles was able to say, play this triad and leave this out. You play this and leave this, and derive at what he wanted to hear without overwhelming the musicians with the theory.
And that's a big part. The arrangements are such a crucial part of you guys, because just like in that song, it's like the arrangement is really insane. It's really crazy. It's a wild arrangement, but it doesn't obscure the song. It doesn't obscure what you guys are doing with the song.
Exactly.
It's very similar to Quincy or George Martin.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Like the way it's he could really take musicians and teach them something different, but not take away from the song. There was an album of Charles Stepney's. His family put out an album of some of his stuff before, and on it a couple years ago, they have the early demo of "That's the Way of the World" on there.
Oh,
I want to
okay.
play a little bit of that.
Is it like a salsa kind of thing?
Whoa, really?
Because I remember hearing "That's the Way of the World," but it was a different groove. Okay, see, and this is how we would hear stuff that Charles would bring, because he would be down there in that
little
basement, tinkering and stuff, and he would. That's exactly
and he got
how
Larry started on that Moog
Mm-hmm.
synthesizer. Wow. And Larry took it and ran with it.
But as cool as that is, I mean, to turn up, for this to be the final result, unbelievable.
Well, that's what the production is about.
Yeah.
Finding it.
And then it was about the fact that we had all the right people at the right time.
Right.
If you take any of those ingredients out, it couldn't have been what it was. Al McKay is so much a part of the greatness of what the Earth, Wind, Fire became, because he was the guy who could take whatever idea and make it funky.
Yeah.
Really, really put a groove on it, and because him and Verdine work so closely together, if you got Verdine and Al going in a certain direction, you got half the band is half the work is done.
I called him
that was half the battle.
And Sweets would say, "It's right here, it's right here. Don't go nowhere." And he could hold that groove, man, for an hour and a half, and it would just get better and better and better and better. I mean, like Phillip said, I mean, all those things that you can't put on paper.
Yeah. So you and him would really,
Like that.
yeah.
We had like a sixth sense where it was going to go.
Wow.
And even if the notes are wrong, they sounded good after you played it with him.
That's amazing.
Yeah, man.
I want to play a little bit of your point of like how Al McKay could make anything funky. When you strip back, and also this Shining Star goes back to Colorado also, because I didn't know until I saw the doc that you guys were out recording at Caribou Ranch in Colorado, and Maurice goes out for a walk and sees the stars and comes with that idea for Shining Star. But for this opening groove, I mean, it's such a funky song, such a classic funk song. But when you listen to that opening, it really is just like a boogie woogie blues, that opening, man, just. I mean, he made it so funky, and you right in there with the interplay with them, Verdine.
Yeah.
But it's just a blues. It's really just like a blues. It's like a
Yes.
Fats Waller kind of like a riff or something.
Also, too, Phillip had said earlier, there were so many people that helped us. Another major component was George Massenburg. In terms of that sound, to get the sound out of those instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, particularly for a black group, sonically, that when you heard it, you would say, oh my God. George was a big part of that.
It was inspiring. His what he would bring would inspire other stuff.
Really?
And he was an electrical engineer. George had a room at the complex in the back where he would just, if he wasn't in the studio working on music, he was back there tinkering. A soldering iron and a transistor here, a diode over here. You know, he was always back there.
And he has his name in the engineering world is his name in the
Absolutely.
engineering
Yeah,
world
George
is
Massenburg Labs.
unimpeachable. But he wasn't George Massenburg when you guys were starting
You know,
with him,
Maurice,
really, right?
Maurice hunted him down. He was. I don't remember the exact story, but when he heard about George, and I think he was living in the Washington D.C. area,
Baltimore.
Baltimore, right? Maurice actually, sought him out, and brought him into the fold.
I always wanted to ask you guys about, we talked about Charles Stepney, what an influence he had, but he died too soon, too young, and you in the middle of making Spirit.
We were working on Spirit.
The spirit of him, yeah.
As a matter of fact, we were about to cut the track Spirit. I was on the drums, and Maurice got the phone call that Stepney had just passed. And we just went on and cut that track. But that's right after we got the news. I remember that clearly.
Wow.
Clearly.
And that man, that had to be heavy.
Well,
It was very heavy. It was
Very heavy.
Quite heavy.
earth shattering.
Yeah, I mean,
But the thing that amazes me is like the next record you guys do after Spirit, All in All, he wasn't there to help guide you guys. And it is just one of the all-time, in my mind. Like it's hard to pick a favorite Earth, Wind & Fire album, but all in all, the fact that you guys, it's now just you guys and your kind of mentor or maybe Maurice's mentor is not there, and you guys go in and cut, I mean, all in all, starts off with Serpentine Fire, goes into Fantasy, Jupiter, Love's Holiday, Bejo, I'll Write a Song for You, which is like a great feature for you, Phillip, and Magic Mind, Running, Brazil, doing Wayne Shorter's Ponte de Aria. Like, just what an insane album. So you guys didn't miss a beat, really, musically.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure you missed him, obviously, but musically, you guys were just.
you can't take anything away from Maurice's genius, and when we talk about Step, it doesn't take anything away from Maurice. It just gives Charles what he deserves.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a very important that we do that because he meant that much to us.
Yeah. Do you remember the idea of having to make a record without him being around?
Yeah, we were fortunate. Like I said, not to be redundant, we're fortunate enough that if you worked with us, you were accomplished in your craft.
Yeah.
Reese didn't pick people to work with that were, not excellent in what they did. So all of the major people we knew, and he would go after whatever he was hearing in his head. He would go after the right ingredients to add in there.
Do you guys have a favorite Earth, Wind & Fire album?
they're all your kids.
They're all good, man. You're not thinking.
Yeah.
They're your
I always
children.
say this. If you asked us maybe 10, 20 years ago, we could give you like one.
Yeah.
But now the time has passed. There's just so many of them, and you love them all for different reasons of what they brought.
Yeah.
I was heartbroken that Faces did not do any, what the other
Underrated.
records.
Yeah,
because
really good
Ton of
record.
great material on there.
there's a lot of great material on that record. I think some of the greatest works that we did collectively, some of it is on Faces.
So that's a really good record.
It really is.
Sail Away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
one of my
Yeah,
favorites off of there.
I always wondered if it had to do with this one of the first records where in a while where it wasn't the cover wasn't like psychedelic. It wasn't like the cover was. It was just faces. It was people. It was really simple and really. It was beautiful in its way, but it was really simple. And you guys had these really almost like funkadelic. You guys had really signature album covers for such a stretch. You know.
In Faces, there was a young man with a boombox. That was Chaka Khan's brother.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, random shots of people, and it was Faces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much were you guys like connected to the other artists around, like Shaka, or even like, you know, you guys do like a Wayne Shorter song. He's around with Herbie. Quincy's making stuff. Like, are you guys?
We were managed by the same management group as Weather Report, and so we did several stints where we gigged together. That was fantastic, just to hear, you know, Joe Zawinul and Wayne and them, you know, like play before us. It was crazy. We played some colleges and stuff together.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, but you know, interestingly enough, we were kind of in a bubble.
Right.
I didn't really begin to really branch out and know people till we got in. We broke up, you know, for those years.
Couple of years in the 80s.
Yeah. Because we're always working, always planning to work.
Yeah.
And,
on tour.
And on tour. And you gotta have to understand that we went from Mama's house to Earth, Wind, and Fire.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, you guys got plucked right out of home, right? Into
And coming from my house, I met a new brother, Phillip, and another brother, Ralph.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was just like an extension. So we didn't know anybody but us.
Yeah. It's amazing. I was reading through your book a bit last night and reading a little bit about that period where you guys, you know, went separate ways as a group for a while.
Right.
And in it, you really talk about wrestling with, is this a break? Is this the rest of my life? Am I doing music?
Well, that kind of break, the way it was done, would cause you to think that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it was just like a meeting and then, okay, we're on a break. That's how quickly it happened. And that's the way it happened, you know?
Yeah.
So it would cause you to, you know, pause about your future.
And you have success producing with Al McKay, the Temps.
Yeah.
But then you also start doing construction and you were working at a stereo store.
Federated Stereo on Sunset and La Brea.
When I was reading through that, what struck me was now 40 years later, you guys are, it's like you guys never, it's like that window as probably emotionally fraught as it was at that point was such a small window in the overall.
When you look at the overall picture.
The overall picture of the group.
It was just a moment.
You would never know that moment happened. And the fact that the three of you, without Maurice, no, sadly, without so many people that we've lost, that you guys are able to continue to give the gift of Earth, Wind, and Fire to the world 40 years after you guys coming back together in around 1986, 1987. That it's just, it's mind-boggling.
Well, one of the things that the book talks about is resilience. Being able to bounce back.
Yeah.
You got to be able to do it.
But in those 40 years and those little glitches, you know, it all wasn't roses. You know, we were growing. We were discovering ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, and then as I mentioned in the doc, a lot of the bigger things that happened for us happened later. You know, normally a lot of people would get accolades up at the top. We got a lot of ours on the back end, you know, as we call it the back nine, you know, and part of that had a lot to do with, I think, with the technology of sampling, of the artists coming along, discovering us, and sampling our music in their music.
Yeah.
And the parents, you know, like your parents was telling you about us. And it started working that way, you know, like when we first started, you know, how people say, oh, we love your music. We think your music's great. Now they come up to us and they thank us for making the music.
Yeah.
It's like a big thank you.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, because it really is, and I'm embarrassed to say too, the first time I figured out who you guys were was from watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when I was a young kid. And they had a joke with the law firm that the dad worked for was Firth, Wind, and Meyer. And I was like, that's so like Firth, Wind, and Meyer. And then as you grow and you grow older and you absorb your music through the radio, through buying the records, through streaming, through hearing them in films or commercials or whatever, you just realize it's almost as if all that stuff that we up top, we were kind of joking about Maurice, where he was living healthy and drinking smoothies and protein shakes and eating healthy. And there's a great story in the doc about you guys meditating before a show.
Yeah.
Like just insane. And the audience is losing their minds and you guys are just sitting there meditating for 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. But it's almost like all of that went into the music. And for those of us who weren't there while it was being made, while it was being released, who are hearing it after the fact, it really does transmit. You know, it feels like all that spiritual work, it really does transmit. And I think that's what people relate to.
Sorry to butt in, but when Maurice passed, you know, we're gone a lot. You know, we travel a lot, so we're not home as much, you know, as a lot of people. When Maurice passed, when I got back, I had the biggest card, like from here to here, from your neighbors. The neighbors had all signed the card. Because when the news hit, it was all over the world, of course.
Yeah.
And but my neighbors had signed this big card.
That must have meant a lot.
Yeah.
That must have meant a lot. I mean, Maurice meant a lot, and you guys all do, man, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
I was fortunate. I think the first Earth, Wind & Fire show I saw was around 2009 at the Hollywood Bowl. And Maurice just came out on stage for a second.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that's amazing, you know?
That's when he decided to write his book, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow. Before we wrap, Phillip, I'm going to ask, would you mind telling the story of Reasons?
Oh.
Well, here we go.
Here we go. You know, we were on the road and we had just landed in, I think it was at Philly or Atlanta. It was one of them. How much of this do you want to know? This is just for you?
It's for the world, so.
Are we recording this? Wait a minute.
It's in the doc. It's in the doc.
It's in the doc. It's in the doc.
Okay, if you've already put it in the doc, Phil, you know.
Well, we are, you know, like bands have groupies, you know, and so we were on a plane and there was this fine lady that was on the plane. And so like, you know, like everybody, like all the women chasing members had their eyes on this particular lady, right? So it just so happened that when we got off the plane, you know, our road manager, Leonard, you know, we had, you know, eye signals. We know we had our signals where we go. So I gave him the signal. We get to the hotel. She's in the lobby. I go to the room. Leonard hooks up. She's in the room. Okay. And so, you know, we have an evening together and the whole thing. And the next morning, you know how guys think that I've conquered. The next morning, you know, I got up to go to the bathroom or something, but I hear her on the phone. She's talking to her baby, talking to her boo, you know, oh, I got, you know, giving him this story of what happened, you know, why she ain't home and stuff, you know. And so I get out the bathroom and she says to me, you know, something to the effect like, yeah, when I saw you, I just said, this had to go down. So, you know, like my ego was like, okay, so that happened. So I'm having this conversation with Maurice, you know, on the plane and stuff. We're talking about this situation and stuff. And that's how the whole Reasons thing came about. That's how the lyrics for Reasons and the whole concept.
Yeah, and Love is just a
Had that
charade.
story, right.
I mean, man, for that to be one of the most romantic songs of all time. People
Right.
playing their weddings, anniversaries.
In the morning when I rise, you know,
No longer feeling.
no longer feeling hypnotized. I find our reason had no pride, you know, and they were a lie. You know, it's like, dude,
That kind of says it all right
that
there.
kind of says it all, right?
That's
Well, you know,
the story.
But people were talking about, I used that on my wedding. I said,
Right.
huh?
Do you remember the first time you heard that? That someone was
Oh,
like,
man, I've heard that so many times.
it all the
Ooh,
time.
I was going, but did you listen to the lyrics?
Take a moment and read them.
people hear what they want to hear.
Yeah.
You know what I was shocked actually in hindsight to find out? That wasn't even a single.
Right.
No,
Right.
it never was.
Do you remember, when did that start getting, when, like, so it was just, I guess album cuts in the 70s.
It was the
would
live
get-
version that really
Right.
jumped that
It was the live
that
version.
record out. If you listen to that record, they roar when it first comes on. But that came
Yeah.
on the Gratitude album.
On the Gratitude, right.
The Gratitude.
And it's the live version you always would hear on the radio a
Yeah,
lot.
with Don Myrick.
Yeah. But that was a big song already, even before the live one came out, because like you say, when the audience when they
went crazy.
It's pandemonium.
They went crazy.
I'm shocked it was never a single off of the previous album, That's the Way of the World. I'm shocked. Thanks for telling the truth all these years later, man.
There it is.
Oh man, appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the documentary. That's going to be exciting to be out in the world.
Yeah, we're excited.
HBO and Questlove, and thanks for all the years of music, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
thanks for having us.
Great interview. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for checking out Broken Record on YouTube. If you want to listen to us on the go, be sure to subscribe to Broken Record wherever you listen to podcasts.